number I'm not totally sure about, Lois.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on 233 and we're starting with Sweets of Sin, right?
Sweets of sin.
Hold on. I turned back. What did I do with a tap through?
So aren't you beginning a new episode?
Yeah,
No.
I thought we might be up to Cyclops, but I don't know.
No, we covered only a very small part the last day.
Okay.
In part because it was pretty rich and I held people up, I must admit, asking 1,000 questions.
No. Here's the confusion. The confusion is we decided, like we started doing in the Shakespeare group, that we would go ahead and read to the end of the chapter.
Yep.
Which I think was about 7 pages, and then we would go back to where we began reading, and we would discuss. And we didn't get too many pages in our discussion. So that's why we are where we're at.
So is it page 255 in Wordsworth?
Tap.
Is anybody reading Wordsworth?
Yeah, I am. That's right, Katrina, 255.
Or are we at Cyclops?
I think we said tap, Ben Dollard's
Tap.
voice.
Yeah, it was tap, Jim. Tap.
Yeah, tap. They listened.
Tap.
Oh, okay. Now
They listened, tankards and Miss Kennedy.
Okay.
Okay. So Paul, are you using Wordsworth or what?
Thank you. I'm on the Penguin edition annotated. So, anybody have something similar? Maybe.
Yeah, I have a Penguin. Penguin long, and it's 366.
366.
And see.
I have the small Penguin, which is 282.
366 is the winner there. Thank you, Anne.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So we have our chat list. Hold on. Okay.
I don't think I'm on the list, Duncan. Am I in after Katrina?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we should go ahead and let me go ahead and add you now.
Okay.
So
Sorry, I missed you on the second one. I mean, yeah, sorry.
it'll be okay. Fortunately, there's nobody here but us nice people, and we're really flexible. Okay, so let us begin out there in video land. We're continuing our reading and discussion of Sirens, and I will put a clue in the description of the video. So if you want to read along with us, you can. So we begin. Tap. They listened. Tankards and Miss Kennedy. George Lidwell. Eyelid well expressed. Full busted satin. Kiernan sigh. The sighing voice of sorrow sang his sins. Since Easter he had cursed 3 times. You bitches bast. And once at mass time he had gone to play. Once by the churchyard he had passed, and for his mother's rest he had not prayed. A boy, a croppy boy. Bronze, listening by the beer pool, gazed far away, soulfully. Doesn't half know I'm in. Doesn't half know I'm. Molly, great dab at seeing anyone looking. Bronze, gazed far sideways. Mirror here. Is this the best side of her face? They always know. Knock at the door. Last tip to titivate. Karakara. What do you think when they hear music? Way to catch rattlesnakes. Night. Michael Gunn gave us the box. Tuning up. Shaw of Persia likes that best. Reminds him of home, sweet home. Wiped his nose in curtain too. Custom. His country perhaps. That's music too. Okay, next reader. Joe, do you have your microphone on?
Just a little problem here. Could I pass on to the next person, please?
You can. And while we're passing on, I realize that we need to make a decision today. So are we going to just read until we come across a juicy chunk and then stop and discuss? Any
Sure.
responses to that?
That sounds like a good idea, in my opinion.
Okay, I'll take your voice as the voice of the group there, Jim. All right.
Speak now, folks, or forever hold your peace.
I'm okay to join now. Thank you. Sorted out.
Okay, are you ready to read then, Joe?
Absolutely, yes. Yep.
Okay, please read. And if you feel that any time in the reading we should stop and discuss, just do so.
Okay. Not as bad as it sounds. Tootling. Brasses, braying asses through up trunks, double basses, helpless gashes in their sides, woodwinds mooing cows. Semi-grand open crocodile music had jaws. Woodwind like Goodwin's name. You look fine. Her crocus dress she wore, low cut, belongings on show. Clove, her breath was always in theatre when she bent to ask a question. Told her what Spinoza says in that book of poor papa's hypnotized listening. Eyes like that she bent, chap in dress circle, staring down to her with his opera glass. For all he was worth, beauty of music you must hear twice. Nature, woman, half a look. God made the country, man the tune. Metempsychosis, philosophy, oh rocks, all gone, all fallen. At the siege of Ross, his father, at Gorey, all his brothers fell. To Wexford, we are the boys of Wexford, he would, last of his name and race. I too, last my race. Millie, young student. Well, my fault perhaps. No son, Rudy. Too late now. Or if still, he bore no hate. Hate, love, those are names. Rudy, soon I am old. Big Ben, his voice unfolded, great voice, Richie Goulding said, a flush struggling in his pale to bloom. Soon old, but when was young. Ireland comes now, my country above the king. She listens. Who fears to speak of 1904? Time to be shoving. Looked enough. Bless me, father, Dollard, the croppy cried. Bless me and let me go. Tap. Next, please.
Okay. It seems to me that this passage that Joe read is pretty rich.
Mm.
And there might be some questions or comments concerning part of it.
I think most of it is in Bloom's mind, but it goes back to bronze gazed far sideways. They always know. And then knock at the door. That's Blazes Boylan back at Echo Street. Knock at the door.
Oh, so you think that completely jumps scene here then?
It just interposes, knock at the door.
Yeah.
Last up to titivate. And then kra it's the cook holds, it's a rooster crowing. Kra. And then Bloom starts, what do they think when they hear music? Way to catch rattlesnakes. And then he's musing on his Molly when they had the box.
Mhm.
He thinks about music, goes on and on and on. And then he thinks particularly about Molly. She looked fine. Her crocus dress she wore, low cut, belongings on show. Clove her breath always in theater. When she bent to ask a question, then he goes on and on. He told her what Spinoza says, and she was hypnotized listening. The chap in the circle was staring at her bosom.
So you're saying all of this is in Bloom's head, including the
Yeah.
knock at the door? Or
Well, I'm not sure if that is an interposition and it's actually the moment when Boylan knocks at the door, or if Bloom is just thinking it's about time.
Yeah, I think it's Bloom imagining it, most likely.
Yeah, I think so too.
Why does he say, "Who fears to speak of 94"? I mean, I know there's a song, "Who fears to speak of 98." We're talking about the rebellion.
Yeah, of 1798, yeah.
Mhm.
And that's another ballad, the line from another ballad, "Who fears to speak of 98." And Bloom is he's just sort of musing to himself.
Okay.
Who fears to speak of 1904? And probably because he's thinking about Molly, and he's thinking about Boylan and Molly.
Okay.
Can anybody enlighten me as to the section says, what do they think when they hear music? Way to catch rattlesnakes? I mean, what would that mean in Ireland, the land that has no snakes?
It wouldn't mean anything in Ireland. It's Bloom thinking about the snake charmers in India. It's always with a musical instrument that hypnotizes them. It's the music that captures the snake.
Yeah,
So
but they don't have rattlesnakes in India. They're cobras mainly, I think.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, but Bloom gets everything wrong all the time.
True.
It's the India that Christopher Columbus discovered.
Well done. What is clove her breath? What's that about? I can't make sense of it.
It's a breath freshener.
Yeah, she used to chew on a piece of clove just to keep her breath smelling sweet. And she did that every time she went to the theater. She would take a clove with her to keep her breath fresh.
Yeah, that's been a traditional breath freshener.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Okay. You know what I want to I want to be a little preemptory here in the sense that it's a rare occasion, an exceedingly rare occasion when we have Paul Ringo with us. And I would like to move Paul very far up the list to make sure that we get to hear him read.
That's fine.
Good.
Well, all right. It's an honor. Thank
Alrighty.
you, Duncan.
Yeah.
I've already forgotten where we are, though. We had
Bloom looked unblessed to go.
He sure did.
Right after tap.
Thank you. Got up to kill. On 18 bob a week. Fellows, shell out the dibs. Want to keep your weather eye open? Those girls, those lovely, by the sad sea waves. Chorus girls' romance. Letters read out for breach of promise. From Chickabiddy's own Mumsy-Pum. Laughter in court. Henry, I never signed it. The lovely name you. Low sank the music, air and words, then hastened. The false priest rustling soldier from his cassock. A yeoman captain, they know it all by heart. The thrill they itch for, yeoman cap. Tap, tap. Thrilled she listened, bending in sympathy to hear. Blank face. Virgin should say, or fingered only. Write something on it, page. If not, what becomes of them? Decline, despair. Keeps them young, even admire themselves. See, play on her, lip blow, body of white woman, a flute alive. Blow gentle, loud, 3 holes, all women. Goddess I didn't see. They want it, not too much polite. That's why he gets them. Gold in your pocket, brass in your face, with look to look, songs without words. Molly, that hurdy-gurdy boy, she knew he meant the monkey was sick, or because so like the Spanish. Understand animals too that way. Solomon did. The gift of nature. That's a good place to stop. Thank you.
Questions or clarifications on what
Oh,
we
yeah.
just read?
Maybe.
So he's looking at Miss Kennedy, bronze. Is he not? I mean, it started way back. Bronze gazed far sideways mirror. Is that the best side of her face? They always know. And then he's thinking about Molly, and then it gets down to Bloom looked. So he looked back at no, it's bronze. I can't remember. Mina Kennedy and Lydia.
Deuce.
Yeah, so it's bronze is Lydia, isn't it?
You're breaking up, Bill, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember if bronze is Lydia or Mina. I think it's Lydia. So that's who he's looking at, if I'm not mistaken. Bloom looked. And then he thinks got up to kill on 18 bob a week. So she's dressed to impress, even though she's just a barmaid.
Mm-hmm.
And then it puts him in mind of those girls, those lovely seaside girls.
Which
Bill,
works
sorry,
because-
just to go back and review. Okay, so bronze is Lydia Deuce.
Yeah,
Gold is Mina Kennedy. Is that correct?
that's my memory.
Okay, sounds good. I've got it marked here, but I did want to confirm it with you, so that's okay. That's great. Good.
Okay, and also, one of them had just come back from the seashore and did obviously have extra color on her skin, so that would also lead him into seaside girls pretty nicely.
Sorry, on line, what's the 1072? It says, Ireland comes now, my country above the king, she listens. And then about 10 lines down, thrilled, she listened. What is the antecedent of the pronoun she? Is that Kennedy?
That's still Lydia Deuce, I believe, bronze.
That's bronze. Okay.
Yeah.
So Bloom is looking at Kennedy, but Deuce is listening. That's the distinction?
No, I think Bloom is looking at Lydia, who is listening.
At Lydia. Okay, at Lydia. Okay. I've got it wrong here then. Okay. Okay, thank you.
I think, I can't remember how far back it is, but I think there's one scene that's pretty clear where Lydia is at the end of the bar talking to Lidwell and somebody else, and Mina is at the other end of the bar, either reading the paper or finishing her tea or something like that. I think it would be too difficult to go back and find that specific thing, but I think the antecedent has to be bronze gazed far sideways.
Okay.
Right after we started.
Okay.
And we have right above that, they listened. Tankards and Miss Kennedy, George Lidwell, eyelid well expressive, full busted satin, Kernan, sigh.
Okay.
Okay, I want to draw attention to the short little piece that says, "Low sank the music air in words, then hastened. The false priest, rustling soldier from his cassock, a yeoman captain. They know it all by heart. The thrill they itch for, yeoman cap." So this is literally a description of the Karapi boy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Mhm.
the story of the song as it's playing out.
And there's in a sense the description of the Doric right there. Low sank the music, air and words.
Right.
Right.
Great.
Tap tap. Who's the next reader?
Does the incident, sorry, Columbo here, does the business of Molly, that hurdy-gurdy boy,
Excuse me, ma'am. Just one more thing.
I love it. I don't know who that was, but that was a perfect takeoff. Okay, Molly, that hurdy-gurdy boy, she knew he meant the monkey was sick. Is that random, or is that referring to something we've seen elsewhere?
It's a memory of Bloom's that we have no other information about.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
All right.
There's a backwards reference to Bloom in the museum looking at the
Yes.
naked statues to see if they have an asshole. Anyway, ventriloquize, my lips closed. Think in my stum. What? Will you? I want you to. With hoarse, rude fury, the yeoman cursed, swelling in apoplectic bitch's bastard. A good thought, boy, to come. 1 hour, your time to live, your last. Tap, tap, thrill now. Pity they feel. To wipe away a tear for martyrs, for all things dying, dying to die, for that all thing born. Pure Mrs. Purefoy. Hope she's over, because they're wombs. A liquid of womb of woman eyeball gazed under a fence of lashes, calmly, hearing. See real beauty of the eye when she not speaks. On yonder river, at each slow satiny heaving bosom's wave, her heaving embalm, red rose rose slowly, sank red rose. Heart beats her breath, breath that is life. And all the tiny, tiny fern foils trembled of maidenhair. But look, the bright stars fade. Oh, Rose, Castile, the morn! Ah, Lidwell, for him the not for infatuated. I like that? See her from here, though. Popped corks, splashes of beer froth, stacks of empties. On the smooth jutting beer pull laid Lydia hand lightly, plumply. Leave it to my hands, all lost in pity for Croppy. Fro, to, fro, over the polished knob. She knows his eyes, my eyes, her thumb and finger passed in pity, passed, repassed, and gently touching, then slid so smoothly, slowly down, a cool, firm, white enamel baton protruding through their sliding ring. With a cock, with a kara! Tap, tap, tap. Next.
I hold this house. Amen. He gnashed in fury. Traitors swing. The courts consented. Very sad thing, but had to be. Get out before the end. Thanks, that was heavenly. Where's my hat? Passed by her. Can leave that Freeman. Letter I have. Suppose she were the... No. Walk, walk, walk. Like Cashel, Boileau, Conroe, Coelho, Tisdall, Maurice, Tisdall, Farrell. Walk. Well, I must be. Are you off? If it must be, Bloom stood or rye high blue. Bloom stood up. Ow! Soap feeling rather sticky behind. Must have sweated. Music. Got lotion, remember. Well, so long. High grade. Card inside, yes. By deaf Pat in the doorway, straining ear, Bloom passed. At Geneva Barrack, that young man died. At Passage was his body laid. Dolor, oh he Dolores, the voice of the mournful chanter, called to dolorous prayer. By rose, by satiny bosom, by the fondling hand, by slops, by empties, by popped corks, greeting and going, past eyes and maidenhair, bronze and faint gold and deep sea shadow went Bloom, soft Bloom. I feel so lonely, Bloom. Next.
Any comments or questions on what Bill and Jane read?
What is a tap? The tap reminds me of Finnegan's Wake in the
Yeah.
music room.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a connection?
This is the blind stripling
Oh,
making,
right.
he's walking towards, because he forgot his tuning fork.
All right.
So we have
It's-
two signs of the blind stripling, I think. One is the tapping, and the other is the repetition of what is it? Bastard's bitch or something like that.
Bitch's bastard.
Bitch's bastard, which I think Bloom first heard from the blind stripling.
Hmm.
And the
Okay.
tap, is that also the beer tap?
That would be true.
Hmm. All right.
I think the convention in Finnegan's Wake is that the tapping is a branch against the window of
All
the
right.
bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Tip.
Yeah,
Tip.
but yeah, tip, tap,
Mhm.
top. But in
Thank
this
you.
instance, it's the young blind piano tuner who's walking back towards the hotel where he left
Mhm.
the tuning fork.
Mhm.
Right. And I like this where it says walk, 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 like Cashel, Boilo, Conoro, Coilo, Tisdale, Maurice, Tisdall, Farrell, walk. So it's like the name, that whole name is kind of like has the sound of walking in it, at least to my ear. Okay. I think we also have a little bit of premonition of Gertie McDowell on the beach
Mm-hmm.
in this reverie that Bloom is engaged in concerning the barmaid.
And soap feeling rather sticky behind, must have sweated.
Mm-hmm.
Is he thinking also of Martha Clifford here?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, he wonders if one of the barmaids might be Martha, but then
Yes.
he says, no, that can't be right.
Mm-hmm. So, Orla, are you the next reader?
Yes, and I'll go now. Tap, tap, tap. Pray for him. Prayed the base of Dollard. You who hear in peace. Breathe a prayer, drop a tear. Good men, good people. He was the croppy boy. Scaring, eavesdropping boots, croppy boots boy Bloom in the Ormond hallway, heard growls and roars of bravo, fat backslapping, their boots all treading, boots not the boots, the boy. General chorus, off for a swill to wash it down. Glad I avoided. Come on, Ben, Simon Daedalus said. By God, you're as good as ever you were. Better, said Tom Gin Kiernan. Most trenchant rendition of that ballad. Upon my soul and honour it is. La Blash, said Father Cowley. Ben Dollard bulkily cashushad towards the bar, mightily praise-fed and all big roseate on heavy-footed feet, his gouty fingers knackering castanets in the air. Big Ben Dollard, Big Ben Ben, Big Ben Ben. Rawr. Next, please.
And deep moved all, Simon trumping compassion from foghorn nose, all laughing. They brought him forth, Ben Dollard, in right good cheer. You're looking rubicund, George Lidwell said. Miss Douce composed her rose to wait. Ben McCree, said Mr. Daedalus, clapping Ben's fat back shoulder blade. It is a fiddle, only he has a lot of adipose tissue concealed about his person. Brrrs. Fast of death, Simon, Ben Dollard crowd. Richie rift in the lute alone sat, Goulding, Collis, Ward, and certainly he waited. Unpaid pat too. Tap, 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 tap. Miss Mina Kennedy brought near her lips to ear of tankard one. Mr. Dollard, they murmured low. Dollard murmured tankard. Tank one believed. Miss Ken when she, that doll he was, she doll, the tank. He murmured that he knew the name. The name was familiar to him. That was to say, he had heard the name of Dollard, was it? Dollard, yes. Yes, her lips said more loudly, Mr. Dollard sang that song lovely, murmured Mina. And the last rose of summer was a lovely song. Mina loved that song. Tankard loved that song, that Mina. Is the last rose of summer, Dollard left bloom, felt wind wound round inside. Want me to stop there?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. I thought Bill was going to join in on the last rose of summer. That's why I started.
You were doing well enough without me. So, I mean, obviously Joyce, Bloom has gas. So the roar at the beginning, and then the next time it's is
Oh,
gas rumbling in his, yeah.
And I think this is him releasing it.
Yeah.
Does he do that in tune to the music? I mean, F sharp or you think?
He's not Lepetamine,
Mm-hmm.
who was
oh, right, the
A
famous
little bit
French.
flatulence.
the famous French flatulist
Mhm.
of stage and, well, not of screen, though I think there actually is a silent film of him, but it does no good because you can't hear him.
So, Anne, do you want to pick it up?
Gassy thing that cider binding to. Wait. Post office near Reuben J's one, and 8p too. Get shot of it. Dodge round by Greek Street. Wish I hadn't promised to meet. Freer in air. Music. Gets on your nerves. Beer pull. Her hand that rocks the cradle rules the Ben Holt that rules the world. Far, 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 far. Tap, 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 tap. Up the key went Lionel Leopold, naughty Henry with letter for Maddie, with sweets of sin, with frills for our. We met in Picoses when Poldy on. Can I stop there? Because we're starting with the blind and the blinding. Yeah.
Do you have any comment or question about that? Of any of this?
Guess you didn't decide.
One thing, again, it came up in last week's reading, Paul de Kock, the French writer. I think that's where Molly gets her nickname for Bloom. He calls him Poldy because Paul de Kock would have been, it was pronounced Paul in French, Paul de Kock. So calling Bloom Poldy is a reference to his cock in a way. You know, it's kind of a sweet name for him, which maybe goes back to, you know, it's like her talking about a bass barrel tone. She can be very witty, and she does play on words a lot. So I think she recognized Paul de Kock and Leopold as Poldy, and she calls him Poldy.
So part of this language that we hear, well, in the thoughts of Bloom, I guess, where it someone commented on it earlier about the Fitzmaurice guy. It could be. I wonder if it could be him being a little sleepy. Is his brain getting like fuzzy because he's really tired? You know, does anybody think that's part of it?
Yes.
I suppose. I mean, I think that's a reasonable thing, but he's also just being playful, because first he says Tisdall and then he says Tisn't dull. You know, it's so I mean, you can't be that sleepy if you come up with that kind of you know, a change in the name from Tisdall Morris, Tisn't dull Farrell.
I think
And,
he's also trying to just.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say he's also trying to distract himself because he knows this is the time when Blazes and Molly are meeting, and so he's kind of wandering in and out of that. So there's probably some you know, need for distraction, a little bit of being upset. These sorts of things.
But there's also a rhythm, and again, this is the musical episode, so it's all about. And there's a rhythm to his movement: walk, 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 and then right after that, like Cashel Boilo, Conero Coilo, Tisdall Morris, Tisndall Farrell, walk. You know, so he's walking along and he's playing with the name as he goes in rhythm. If he had his Freeman's Journal, he'd be batting it on his leg as he walked, I think, keeping time.
So that brings up a question, at least to me, which is, you know, Bloom is married to a woman who sings. And occasionally he plays with songs of words, but I haven't seen much evidence that Bloom himself has any musical talent beyond himself. What am I trying to say?
He's more of a fan of music. He knows a lot about it, but he doesn't perform or participate, maybe.
He makes references to lilting at certain points. He's somewhere he says, "Oh, I mustn't lilt again." So I don't know if that would be musical.
Yeah, lilting is just I guess the closest thing we have in America is scat singing and jazz. Lilting is putting nonsense syllables to a tune, to remember the tune. And there are some really, really famous lilters in Ireland. They take over for the band when the band's having a drink at dances and thing. Somebody will get up and lilt a jig or a reel or a whole series of them, so that the dancers can keep dancing.
Huh. Okay. That's interesting. So they're kind of like using the mouth or the voice as an instrument.
Yeah, it's where the deedly diddly comes from in Irish songs. I said when I do a radio show on Irish music, and a friend of mine used to call it all the time, and he'd say, play some more of that deedly diddly music for me, will you?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to give a demonstration of lilting, Bill? I'll try and join you with harmony.
Oh, geez.
Lia da dia diddle dumba dootin dumba diddle dumba da dia diddle.
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
Okay, well, actually, that leads right into the next little bit of reading here.
Except that Dave has a question.
Yeah,
Dave,
Rock on.
to everyone's amazement, Dave, the anchor, is holding on progress with a question. Just a quick one. Is
good.
Mina Kennedy listening to an echo in a tankard? Is that what that's about?
Oh, you mean on almost the personification?
Okay, so here's what it
of the
says.
tankard?
Miss Mina Kennedy brought near her lips to ear of tankard one. And it's not the first reference to a tankard in this chapter. And I'm just wondering, like, is the guys are singing and they're talking, is she sort of listening to the echo coming through the tankard?
It's a possibility. The other possibility is, of course, tankards run out.
Right.
I honestly don't think so. I think tankard 1 and tankard 2 are just the gentlemen that ordered tankards of beer. So, you know, tank is just a shorthand for the guy with the tankard, not necessarily.
Okay. Dollard murmured tankard. Yeah, okay, right.
Dollard murmured tankard. So
yeah, okay, I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, I think the term is metonymy, right? Where crown or chair are used to refer to a person.
Right.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So let me just read that if we go back in the page. So this after tap, 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 tap. Miss Mina Kennedy brought her lips to ear of tankard 1. Mr. Dollard, they murmured low. They being her lips. Dollard murmured tankard. Tank 1 believed. Miss Ken when she. That doll he was, she dolled the tank.
Doll for Dollard.
Mm-hmm. That
Or
doll
doll
he
is
was, she
Dollard.
doll. Mm-hmm. Good.
If you tank, isn't it also when you lose courage?
Or energy.
Yeah, when you run out of energy, you.
So if all the men fancy the women and then they're drinking and then they sort of can't pursue them because they tank.
Yeah.
Well, or they may drink more tankards because they know the pursuit is futile.
So I thought it was a sexual thing here because I'm still recovering from Bill's reading about her pulling on the beer pull. And then she brings her lips down to the ear of the tankard. So maybe that's just me, but that's what I was seeing there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you see, Joyce is writing with fragments of words and fragments of sentences. Tangwyn believed Miss Kennedy when she said that he was dullard. She said dullard. Tank agreed. He murmured that he knew the names, but Joyce is leaving out some of the sounds, and that's all it is.
Well, it would also be, I mean, they are in a bar. I don't know. I haven't been
Right.
in that many pubs. I assume it's a little noisy in there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that if you want to actually communicate, you do lean towards people and whisper in their ears. And even then, the hearing may not be clear.
Well, before that, it says scaring, eavesdropping, boots, crappy boots boy, Bloom. So Bloom is eavesdropping. Bloom is sort of listening to their conversation as he passes out the door, and he's only catching snatches of it.
Oh, okay.
Because you're right, it is a noisy bar, and there are glasses clattering, and there's still sounds from the salon where the pianos and the singers, everybody's cheering and clapping, and so it would be hard to hear everything.
Throws a summer dollar left room, felt wind wound round inside. All right, let's proceed. Next reader is whom? I believe it's Dave himself.
I would defer to Lois, I think.
I think it is Lois.
Oh, somehow I already heard Lois read in my ear.
Did you like it?
Actually, it was pretty good, so I'm ready to hear more.
Yes, as my lips came to your ear and I said Dollard.
Perhaps. Why not? Okay, Lois.
All right. Gassy thing, that cider, is that where we are, or we are tapping?
I think we got far, tap,
Okay.
tap.
Up the key went Lionel Leopold. Naughty Henry with letter for Maddie, with sweets of sin, with frillies for Raoul, with met him Picosis, went Poldy on. Tap blind, walked tapping by the tap, the curbstone tapping, tap by tap. Cowley, he stuns himself with it. Kind of drunkenness. Better give way only halfway, the way of a man with a maid. Instance enthusiasts. All ears, not lose a semi-quabar. Eyes shut, head nodding in time. Dotty, dared budge, thinking strictly prohibited, always talking shop, fiddle-faddle about notes. All a kind of attempt to talk. Unpleasant when it stops because you never know exact. Organ in Gardner Street, Old Lynn, 50 quid a year. We're up there in the cockloft alone with stops and locks and keys, seated all day at the organ, maunder on for hours, talking to himself with the other fellow blowing the bellows, growl angry and shriek, cursing, what to have wadding or something in his, don't, she cried. Want to have waddling or something in his, no, don't, she cried. Then all of a soft sudden, wee little pipey wind, wee little windpipe, wee, in Bloom's little wee. Was he? Mr. Daedalus said, returning with a fetched pipe. I was with him this morning at poor old Patty Dignam's. Aye, the Lord have mercy on him. By the by, there's a tuning fork in there on the tap, 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 tap. Shall we stop?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Is Cowley the priest? Is that Father Cowley?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes, with the
Yeah.
is the word
With
is
the
the word
mortgage
for bill
coffins.
collectors duns with the duns at his house? Joe, is that the word for bill collectors?
No, they're trying to dun him.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
but there is a term for bill collectors.
Yes, they issues a dunning notice.
So do they get called duns?
Yeah, you could call them duns. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Really, the person?
D-U-N. Yeah, the duns men,
Oh,
dunners
okay.
men. Yeah.
All right.
It's and he certainly has them, hasn't he? He had two of them round, and is that what was mentioned?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Father Crowley, who was wanted Ben Dollard to play Mozart.
Hmm.
And is this Bloom saying fiddle faddle about notes? Because he himself really is not musical. And all of this talk that's going back before us with the Mozart or the other songs or the Crappie Boy, could this be Bloom saying, they just talk this stuff all the time. It just goes on and on and on.
Yeah,
Thinking.
I'd say so. Yeah. Cowley is. Yeah, I mean, they've talked a lot about notes even in the last few minutes, haven't they?
Yeah.
Seven sharps.
Always talking shop.
Always.
Give way only half the way of a man with a maid. Better give way only halfway the way of a man with a maid.
I've got a note here. Bill's not here, so I can tell you that it's from Gifford. The Way of a Man with a Maid is my note says a late 19th century pornographic novel. So it's circulating in Bloom's brain, I guess, as stuff comes to him.
Yeah.
Might also be an influence for Neil Young for his album Harvest, Man and the Maid.
Oh, loving the Canadian reference there, Donna. Thank you, sir.
So if this is Bloom talking, he's saying Cowley, he stuns himself with it, kind of drunkenness.
Yeah.
Better give way only half the way of a man with a maid. Instance enthusiast. All ears, not lose a semi-quaver, eyes shut, head nodding in time. Dotty, you daren't budge. Thinking strictly prohibited. Always talking shop, fiddle faddle about notes. Okay, so this is Bloom really being quite cynical about this.
Yeah.
So he's literally saying that the people they want to get drunk on the music.
Well, yeah, he's saying Cowley. So it's all that. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I'm shouting across here, but it's. I always interpret that as he's talking about Cowley at the piano, and Cowley is into music, and it's a kind of drunkenness with him, and he doesn't want to miss 1/32, and that's the semi-quaver. And his eyes shut, his head nodding all. We've seen the pianist sort of, and lost in it as with drink, And then, of course, if you start talking to him, well, he talks about his bloody music, notes and fiddle faddle.
All of a kind of attempt to talk, unpleasant when it stops because you never know exact.
Yes, you see, so he's just don't know. Maybe he's just listening to Cowley, or he's just saying that guy's into music. You know, if you want to talk to him, talk about music. You know.
Well, okay, so then I'm putting together this scene that, Father Cowley was last heard from when he wanted Ben Dollard to play Mozart. Ben Dollard did not play Mozart, but he played the Crappie Boys to great acclaim by the bar, and then he got up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that then Cowley slipped into the piano and, is going off in his classical piano playing reverie.
Yeah, and that's what. Well, I'm going past where we stopped then, but he suddenly shouted, "Oh, do!" and he's finished, and he's gone. You know, he stops playing.
Mm.
Oh, right. Oh,
You see people like that lost in their music, don't you? You see a violinist, and it is like a kind of drunkenness.
Yeah.
Which is
so that's why I go listen to live music, because so I can see musicians do that, and then I can do that. While kind of doing some kind of dance to what they're playing.
Yeah.
And they're usually drunk as well. in the context that we're thinking of. But I mean, I'm sorry because I've missed a bit this evening. But isn't that a bit of a surprise that Kylie suddenly shows up in the middle of this? No, yeah.
Oh no, he was around trying to get something done about the Dunners, the fellas who are trying to collect a debt banging on his door, and in the course of that, he's met the others.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right.
And therefore they're on their way across to the Ormond Hotel, and he bangs away the piano.
Oh, that Scott or whoever he is chasing after him. Whoever owns the place he lives or something.
Reverend Love.
Yeah, Love. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but Donald is saying you don't have to worry about, because the landlord has prayer and all this sort of stuff, that it's the legal babble.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the first time these men have been in the Ormond.
No, this is a regular thing.
I wasn't meaning that, but I was just surprised that Kylie turned up in this context. That was all. Sorry. I'm just a bit of a Rip Van Winkle with it at the minute. Okay.
Yeah, well, you're right, because all we heard about him was that he, if my memory is serving me right, that way back in Lotus Eaters, he had loaned his valise to Bantam Lions, was it? And hadn't got it back. And then, as you say, he suddenly emerges again, having, don't know how he spent the rest of the day. And we don't know what happens to him after, as far as I know, anyway. He doesn't appear.
Mm-hmm. But he appears actually quite early in this particular section.
Yeah,
Father Kelly is very much involved in it.
Yeah.
And I'll throw out just another little thing. I mean, much as Bloom is trying to put other things in his mind besides his concern about Blazes Boyland and Molly, Father Cowley is also trying to put something in his mind besides the bill collector being after him.
Yeah, and
Joel, just a footnote here. Was McCoy the valise man?
Oh, McCoy. Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, just a sort of general comment as we move to the end of this chapter. I keep thinking of the Aeolus chapter as we work through this, because they're both about sound. I mean, obviously Aeolus is about, the sound of rhetoric, the sound of the windy sound of language, and this is about music. But there's a lot of talk in this chapter too. It's not just music. There's a lot of BS happening verbally, and I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one, but it does harken back to Aeolus. Lots of wind.
Yeah, I can see your point of view. Yeah, yeah. It's sound. I mean, that was the sound of voices, and as you said, there's a huge amount of dialogue going on here.
Right.
Uh,
Not all of it profound.
oh no.
As a matter of fact, would you point out some profound dialogue for me here?
Yeah, and but we'll say that barmaids are serving beyond the call of duty when it comes to being close to the customers.
Right, well, let's proceed. Maybe we'll actually get through this.
All right, Lois, you're a hard act to
Thumbs up.
follow. I'm actually very glad that you got those lines. Am I picking it up at the 4 taps?
Yes.
Okay. Tap, 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 tap. The wife has a fine voice, or had. What? Lidwell asked. Well, that must be the tuner, Lydia said to Simon Lionel. First I saw. Forgot it when he was here. Blind he was, she told George Lidwell. Second I saw. And played so exquisitely. Treat to hear. Exquisite contrast. Bronze lid, mine of gold. Shout! Ben Dollars shouted, pouring. Sing out! It'll do, cried Father Cowley. Brr. I feel I want tap, 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 tap. Very, Mr. Dedalus said, staring hard at a headless sardine. Under the sandwich bell lay on a bier of bread one lonely, last sardine of summer. Bloom. Very, he stared. The lower register for choice. Tap, 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 tap. Bloom went by berries. Wish I could. Wait. That wonder worker. If I had 24 solicitors in that one house, counted them, litigation, love one another, files of parchment. Messrs. Pick and Pocket have power of attorney. Golden, Collis, Ward. But for example, the chap that wallops the big drum, his vocation, Mickey Rooney's band. Wonder how it first struck him. Sitting at home after pig's cheek and cabbage, nursing it in the armchair, rehearsing his band part, pomedy, jolly for the wife, ass's skins, whelp them through life, then wallop after death, wallop. Seems to be what you call yashmak, or I mean kismet, fate. Maybe you should leave it there.
Yeah.
Well, I like the line, the last sardine of summer.
Mm-hmm.
Blooming all alone.
Bloom alone.
Bloom alone.
Right. Yeah, Jim, echoing on the previous page, the last rose of summer.
That's right. That's right, Dave.
So is this intimating that actually Simon Dedalus would really like to eat that sardine? But
I think he's staring at Mina Kennedy, not at the sardine. And I think the lower register might be a euphemism for her behind that he's looking at.
and so he's looking at her and her head is obscured as the headless sardine.
Well, I don't know about that, but I mean, so he's right there with George Lidwell and Mina, and they're talking, and the wife has a fine voice, or had. What? Lidwell asked, and then Lydia interposes to Simon Lionel, who said something about the tuner.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes back to talk to George Lidwell. And then I don't know if the very could be related to Molly's voice. She could have a very fine voice if he's picking up on that conversation.
Mhm.
But he is staring hard at a headless sardine. It says that right there.
Yeah, under the sandwich bell lay on a bier of
Right.
bread, one lonely last sardine of summer.
Right. Very, he stared. The lower register for choice.
Well, I'm perfectly comfortable with this last sardine of summer being an actual sardine, because we know that Simon basically drinks his food, but, rarely has money to actually eat. So it seems to me. And then also, enjoying the sight of the young barmaid, who probably, because of her sunburn, looks more sardinish than usual.
What is the sense of the chapter or the chapter, sorry, of the paragraph about the chap with the big drum? Is that just another one of Bloom's contemplations that comes from outer space, or is that referring to something?
That's all. I think that's all in Bloom's head. He goes off on a tangent about
Right. But point taken. But is it just something that sort of randomly appears, or does he hear a sound that gets him thinking in that direction, Bill?
Well, very earlier on, he's thinking about music and the making of music, and then we come back to him.
Okay.
I mean, at the other previous page, all kind of attempt to talk. Unpleasant when it stops because you never know exact. This is all Bloom is thinking about music.
Is this not, though, the big drum? Is this not? I mean, we've already seen Alexander Dowie somewhere, right? During the day,
The evangelist.
the evangelist.
Well, he's on the throwaway, isn't he? That Bloom crumples up and throws.
Yes, he's on the throwaway.
Okay, right.
And have we not? I think we've already had one sighting of him already, if I'm not mistaken. But
So where is he here?
I'm thinking about the drum. This is where my mind is going. I'm in that kind of evangelist, gin up a crowd type thing. There's very frequently some musical instruments, and it's very unlikely that Dowie would bring a big drum and a drummer with him from the United States to do his proselytizing.
Is he divorced? Because I thought I feel I want, and then he talks about the solicitors, wish I could. Is it, he can't do something, it's all about procrastination or whatever. So does he want a divorce? He's wishing, no, he doesn't want a divorce.
I don't think so. No. I think what he wishes he could do is fart. He's just got a little bit of wind, and it's not at that point yet where you can really let it out.
And that's why he's talking about the wonder worker, Bill.
Right. That's why.
Yeah.
He's wishing. Oh, I wish I could. If I only had that wonder worker, that would help. And then eventually it does all. At the very end, he gets it out. But at the moment, it's just he's a little windy, a little gassy, but it's not sufficient for a full orchestration. But I think the chap that wallops the big drum has nothing to do with Alexander J. Dowie. I think it's just the guy in Mickey Rooney's band.
And Bill, what's the wonder worker then?
I think there's some kind of story about the drummer in Mickey Rooney's band, though. And there's some kind of story there.
I'll find out.
But what is the wonder worker?
Okay, Bill, or sorry, Jim, that is a very good question, because you actually have to go to chapter 17 to find the answer to that. And it's a cure or a treatment for rectal complaints. Okay.
I must bear that one in mind.
Yes. Yeah, but as I said, it's way in the Ithaca chapter.
Okay.
Very deep there.
Very moving.
That's what it's designed for.
A moving experience.
Yeah.
I love that Master's pick and pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Our attorney. That's sort of like the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. You can just see them pulling out the money.
Okay, so nobody has a story about the drummer in Mickey Rooney's band then
No.
at this time.
But there's some relationship between the drum being tight and being constipated, having all that wind inside you, because he's talking about sitting at home after eating pig's cheek and cabbage, nursing it in the armchair, rehearsing his band part, Palm. So that goes back to the farting, right?
Well, I think so. I think my guess would be that eating pig's cheek and cabbage is a good way to get really gaseous.
Yeah.
And if you're a drummer, you're fortunate if you're a drummer when you have gas, because then you just beat on the drum and
Right.
let out the gas at the same time, and nobody can hear.
Here's Sam Sloat has a comment on the chap that wallops in Mickey Rooney's band, a reference to the comic song Mickey Rooney's Band by John F. Mitchell.
Right.
In the song performed initially by a single performer, it appears that the band leader introduces his band, who responds by playing short bursts of their instruments.
Right.
So where he's saying jolly for the wife, asses' skins, welt them through life, then wallop after death. Well, he's talking about the asses, but is he talking about the wife too?
I think he's being sarcastic.
Yeah, but is he talking about just the asses, or is he talking about wives?
Is it possible that he's talking about the donkey skin as being like used as a drum skin, so you wallop them through life, then you use the skin on the drum? Is that right?
It's not only possible, I would bet on it.
Yeah.
Reassured to hear that. Okay. But you're asking if there's a double meaning here. That he's also talking about the wife. Okay.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't see a double meaning. I mean, there might be, but I think it's Bloom is just starting off, with the fart thing, and then he keeps on, he wishes. I think he's wishing at this point that he had a big drum that he could beat, so he could relieve himself without drawing any public attention to his problem. Shall we go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next reader B.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Next reader. And where are we? Sorry.
Tap, tap.
Tap, tap, a stripling blind.
Tap, 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 tap. A stripling blind with a tapping cane came tap, tap, tapping by Daly's window, where a mermaid hair all streaming, but he couldn't see. Blue whiffs of a mermaid, blind couldn't. Mermaid coolest whiff of all. Instruments. A blade of grass, shell of her hands, then blow. Even comb and tissue paper you can knock a tune out of. Molly in her shift in Lombard Street West, hair down. I suppose each kind of trade made its own, don't you see? Hunter with a horn. Ha. Have you the cloche sonne la? Shepherd his pipe. Wee little wee. Policeman a whistle. Locks and keys. Sweep. 4 o'clock's all's well. Sleep. All is lost now. Drum. Pompity. Wait, I know. Town crier. Bum bailiff. Long John. Waking the dead. Palm. Dignum. Poor little nomine domine. Palm. It is music. I mean, of course, it's all pom-pom, very much what they call da capo. Still, you can hear. As we march along, palm. I must really. Now, if I did that at a banquet, just a question of custom, Shah of Persia, breathe a prayer, drop it here. All the same, he must have been a bit of a natural not to see it was a yeoman cap, muffled up. Wonder who was that chap at the grave in the brown mackin? Oh, the horror of the lane. Stop there.
Okay. Questions, observations, anything in there?
Yeah, the last sentence. What's the sense there?
He's just seeing the horror of the lane coming
As he walks along.
as he walks along.
Thanks.
It catches him short.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Bill.
So this is really nitpicky, but I'm going to go for it, where he says the shell of her hands. Throughout the book, there are a lot of shells. Mr. Daisy has shells, and I can't remember where else, but the shell was the symbol of St. James.
St. James of Compostela.
Yeah.
The pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Specifically a scallop.
Yeah.
I think
And we have
that's right.
shells several times throughout here.
Right. So we know what he's referring to, right? I mean, we all know about
It's this thing.
the
thing.
yeah,
You put a blade of grass in there, and you.
But it's also he's also remembering one of the barmaids with the conch shell that they're listening. And so it could really be the shell in her hand, but he says the shell of her hand. So I think it's both. I mean, but it's it's you put the blade of grass in between your thumbs and then make a shell of your hands and blow.
And it's interesting in this paragraph because all thoughts lead to 7 eccles, right? I mean, he starts talking about music and how you can make it on various, simple instruments, but then he ends up in 7 eccles, right? 4 o'clock, all's well, sleep, all is lost now.
Yeah, because every one of these things is going to lead him
exactly
to some kind of image. I mean, even making the shell of a hand. I mean, that's taking you right to Molly.
Yeah.
And it's not her hands that the shell of the hands is not taking her to Molly's hands. It's taking her to more intimate areas.
Right. And the end of the paragraph, I mean, this could be my rather diseased mind, but I'm seeing sexual references here as well as musical. Pom 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 pom. I mean, of course, it is music. I mean, of course, it's all pom pom.
Of course.
Very much what they call da capo, which is over and over again. Still, you can hear.
Yeah, Hunter with a horn.
Yes, that's there too. So
shepherd his pipe, policeman a whistle, locks and keys.
Mm.
Sweep, 4 o'clock, all's well. Sleep, all is lost now. And then I think that this whole thing with the drum, pompity, wait, I know, time crier, bum bailiff, long john, wake the dead. You know, he's having a little bit of a paranoid fantasy here that what's happening at 7 Eccles Street is being announced all over the city with great fanfare and big drums.
I think that's a stretch, but
Okay.
I'll give it to you.
All right. Thank you, sir. You can put a little mark, you know.
Yeah. One for Duncan.
Yeah.
Well, 1 pass for Duncan. And then he has the whole drum thing, and then the very next, I must really. Okay.
So drop a chair, that's a euphemism for peeing.
Yeah, but it's also the end of the Crappie Boy. He's going back to the song, the lyrics of the Crappie Boy. Drop a tear, breathe a prayer for the Crappie Boy. And then he thinks he must have been a bit of a natural, meaning not very bright, the Crappie Boy, not to notice that the priest was not a real priest, but, you know, a yeoman.
Okay. Katrina, are you finished with your reading? Katrina.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I am finished. We have Jim and Sylvia, right?
Okay. A frowsy whore with black straw sailor hat askew came lazily in the day along the quay towards Mr. Bloom. When first he saw that form endearing, yes, it is. I feel so lonely. Wet night in the lane. Horn. Who had she? She. Shisha. Off her beat here. What is she? Hope she. Psst. Any chance of your wash? New Molly? Had me decked, stout lady, does be with you in the brown costume. Put you off your stroke. That appointment we made, knowing we'd never, well, hardly ever. Too dear, too near to home, sweet home. See me, does she? Looks a fright in the day. Face like dip. Damn her. Oh well, she has to live like the rest. Look in here. Okay, I might stop here. So Bloom has met a lady of the night.
In the daytime.
In the daytime, yes. That was a euphemism for prostitute. What is she? Hope she? Any chance of a wash?
Chance of your
had me decked.
That appointment we made. Is he remembering some dalliance he had with her at that stage? Knowing we'd never, well, hardly ever.
Knowing we'd never, I think.
And does she recognize him and know him? Had me decked. Isn't decked means know somebody?
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. I can't make the head or tail. So it means had me decked means she knew me.
Yeah, maybe. And then the stout lady does be with you with the brown costume. I mean, women's clothes used to be referred
Used to be a people wore costumes, women wore costumes.
Oh, that's right.
And that really put me off my stroke. Kind of shook him up a bit, didn't it?
That appointment we made.
He only ever saw her at night because she looks a fright in the day. Face like a dip.
It seems to me up to this particular point, the only instance that we know of with Bloom engaging with a prostitute was the sad, tragic little story of, what was it, Bridie Murphy?
Bridie Kelly, I think.
Bridie Kelly.
Yeah.
But, you know, by the time we get to the Circe chapter, it's obvious that that part of town is really not a place that Bloom goes to. That he's only kind of lured there out of his, quote, concern for Stephen Dedalus. But we do have that one instance of Bridie Kelly.
Right. Is it that he was trying to arrange something and found out that the woman of the night, as Jim refers to her, knew Molly?
Say that again?
Is it that he was trying to set something up and then he found out that the woman of the night actually knew Molly?
Didn't she do their laundry or something?
I thought that was a euphemism for can I do your wash? Can I be of service to you?
Mm.
What does she hope she's any chance of your wash?
Katrina, what does Sloat say about this?
I'm looking there now,
Okay.
not seeing much.
Okay.
He does say decked means to vanquish, silence, or nonplus, especially in an argument.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
I mean, in North
Like a
America, if you
boxing
deck
match.
somebody, you hit them fairly hard,
Yeah.
and I think you're laying them out on the floor.
Yeah.
Could you read again what Sloat says about decked? I'm going to copy it out.
To vanquish, silence, or nonplus,
Okay. Thank
especially
you.
in argument.
I like the reference to what is that classic song? Bill's Not Here.
Yeah, Bill's
In,
gone.
in Marble Halls, isn't that a reference to it? In
Believe me, of
Marble
all
Halls?
those endearing young charms.
Yeah.
And what does Joe say? Where is Joe? Is he here? I can't see him.
He's muted.
No. There's Joe. Joe's here.
Yes, I think I'm here. Yes.
I'm just seeing what Joe says about it.
Well, I just thought that she obviously had seen Bloom with Molly, stout lady with you, and somewhere in his past he has. I would say she's looking for his washing as well. I mean, people put their washing out to to be done for a price, and she might have been offering a kind of a bonus of some sort.
Okay, so you think it's literal, like when she says any chance of your wash, she actually wants to do his laundry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he also might know that she also has a sideline at night, and that's where he says too dear and too near. The price of the washing was too much, and she lives too near home to be safe. For either deal.
Yeah, well, I think
I see it now. Unfortunately, all these things are open to also. Some guy's going to come up with some other explanation that wash means voyage to Mars or something. You just don't know. But I just took it as literally there. Yeah. See, a lot of the prostitution was was not full time.
Yes, that's exactly right. It was amateurish, or people on their own, as opposed to working in a house, and they were probably open to making money any way they could.
Yeah, I happen to have one of my school friends who, he's kind of, when he arrived into his 50s, still living with his mother. His mother was unwell, so they got a lady in to help. Now, he's sort of a well-to-do guy living in a big house, and she's very attractive, and she had another line of business as well. And he was, I remember saying to me, I've had to get rid of her, because I don't want any misunderstandings.
Going back to Buck Mulligan and the homely servant with the cracked mirror.
Yeah. Ursula. That's so. So I'm just thinking in the times of poverty that they were living in, that this must have been a factor. So somewhere along the line, this lady has seen Bloom and Molly, and she kind of knows Bloom, perhaps seeing him on his own somewhere at night, and then has seen him in the day as well, and says, "Stout lady does be with you, stout woman does be with you." That's Molly.
Right.
That's all I can see there.
Yeah.
Open.
And is that our only reference to what Molly looks like? She's a stout lady.
There are a few, I think, Sylvia, where they talk about her as being somewhat substantial.
Yeah.
I think that was a compliment in those days.
Yes, Jane, I was just going to say that. That would have been a word you heard a lot in the house. Oh yes, yes. That's the stout gentleman. You had plenty of reserves. To fight. You were well fed.
And it was a sign of wealth as well, that you could afford the money for the food. It was only with the arrival of Twiggy in the 60s that this type of girl became the most popular.
Yeah. Something to hold on to, as they used to say.
Yes.
They mentioned earlier that there was lots of adipose fat.
Yes.
Was that on Baron Dollard?
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
In the absence, in the absence of Bill, and hoping he doesn't watch the recording.
I know.
That's
Did you hear that?
Homeric reference, because when Odysseus attends the games that this episode embraces. You don't usually see that in the notes. The guys are throwing the discus, and they invite him to have a go, and the Nausicaa's brothers are sort of saying, well, yeah, he's a bit past, with a lot of fat there. They're commenting on that, and Odysseus becomes cross with them and hurls the discus or past the record mark.
Yeah.
It flies through the air. And that is exactly almost the words that are used to describe Ben Dollar's soaring. It's soaring. Ben Dollar's voice soars like the disc. And this is then the remark made after the event in our case, but it's made before he proves himself. And after that, the boys all stop commenting on him, And also, my dancing days are over are a reference to one of the entertainments that is called up by what's Nausicaa's father's name? It'll come back to me. King Alcinous. He calls in a male dancer. When the problem with listening to the siren song is that Odysseus it's the Song of Troy, and Odysseus has post-traumatic stress. So that the next time he hears the Song of Troy, he has a breakdown. And that breakdown occupies a lot of the episode in Homer. But the king saying, oh, our guest doesn't like the music, let's do something. He brings on a dance, the guy who dances, some sort of, males dance in ancient Greece and in modern Greece. All those Greek dances, the Kalamakiano and all these sort of things, they're all war dances. And the girls don't do them. The girls do the belly dancing and all this kind of stuff. Now this is back, for 40 years ago when I was there. So and that's the reference to My Dancing Days Are Over by Simon Dedalus. It doesn't carry the same tale, but you can just see the sort of little true metempsychosis, history repeating itself slightly in the Government Hotel. These are the Fishian games that are going on.
Sorry, Joe, which games?
The Fishian games. Is Princess Nausicaa is a Fishian. That's the name of her nation, probably in Crete, where there's a ruins called Phaistos. Probably surviving from those days that name, the Phaistos, Phaecia, and in honor of their guest, they put on these games. See? So Nausicaa's father's games, but it's easier to say than the Fishian games. And that Joyce is blending two stories together there. The 48 lines where they pass the sirens, but also the outcome of that. There's no such thing as a free lunch in ancient world. You don't get to hear the sirens without having an after effect, and that's where he has his breakdown. And he pays the great compliment to Homer, which is why we hear Homer walking towards the Ormond Hotel, by the way. Because Odysseus stops, he says, oh, it's the singing, and he says, oh, you sing so well. You sing about the war as if you were there yourself, or spoke to someone who was, this kind of stuff. And this is a great compliment, and Joyce is bringing all that in here in little shadows.
So do you think that Homer's the man in the brown Macintosh? Maybe Homer's the man in the brown Macintosh.
Maybe he is. Well done, Jane. Maybe he. Can you expunge all this from the record?
I hope so.
No, that was fascinating, Joe. Really interesting.
That
was good.
That is just music to my ear, and it just takes me back to the Greek islands in 1973 and seeing those guys dancing.
Yeah, the Kalamakiano, yeah.
I know.
Actually had a go, a few oozos on you.
That was very good. That was very good.
Beautiful. It's music.
Oh yeah. I saw a guy. Oh no, this has been recorded. No, I saw a guy. I spent a good bit of time when I was young in Greece, but there was a sort of a row in a pub, a row in a restaurant. Fella just too much to drink. It was shouting and roaring, and they called the police. The cops. This is in the time of the generals. You really didn't want to get involved with the police, and the car arrived, and the kind of two cops came in, and they just invited him to join them in the car, and he declined. And he said, but he needed to do one thing first before you go. And he said, what do you want to do? He says, I want to dance. And so the two cops sat down at a table, and your man danced. Now, he had broken a bit of glassware. That was the problem. He was throwing the glasses around the pub, around the restaurant. And and they let him dance. And he did one of these Zorba type dances,
Mhm.
and then walked off like a lamb with them to the club.
Mm.
Male dancing is a real thing in Greece. I presume.
Mhm.
So, because you say the islands, the islands, the islands.
Yes, yeah, I know. Yeah, it was just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Joyce was really into
I
dancing.
didn't realize the significance. I was so busy probably thinking about something else.
Mhm.
Indeed. Well, there's, of course, Greece always reminds me of Ireland. Ireland with sunshine.
Mhm.
Anyways, I've stopped rambling.
But
No, you're not rambling at all. It's great.
they smash the plates as well.
Oh yes, yeah.
You smash the plates.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This guy was doing, and it was quite frightening. But they do that when they're dancing. They break glasses and they stamp on them. The boot. But in our country, if you really want to fight in a pub, you start by breaking glasses. You know a real fight when you hear glass breaking. Prior to that, it's not a row at all. It's just an exchange of opinion. So to hear the glass breaking sent a shiver down my spine.
Right.
Anyways.
Are we going to finish this one chapter of Sirens?
Yeah, I was just thinking that we should try to finish it.
Okay, well, we got 10 minutes, so we'll just read through it again. We'll read from here to the end. I just want to make one comment. I think it's important. It's a very minor point, but please notice, in spite of how gaseous he is, Leopold Bloom will not fart in front of the lady of the night.
Nice.
A thorough gentleman.
A thorough gentleman, even under physical pain and stress. Okay, so that being said, I will read half of what's left and turn it over to the next person to read the other half. So, in Lionel Mark's antique sales shop window, Haughty, Henry, Lionel, Leopold, dear Henry Flower, earnestly, Mr. Leopold Bloom, envision candlestick, melodeon, oozing maggoty blowbags. Bargain, 6 bob. Might learn to play. Cheap. Letter pass. Of course, everything is dear if you don't want it. That's what good salesman is. Makes you buy what he wants to sell. Chap sold me the sweetest razor he shaved me with. Wanted to charge me for the edge he gave it. She's passing now. 6 bob. Must be the cider, or perhaps the Bergen. Near bronze from anear, near gold from afar, they chink their clinking glasses all, bright-eyed and gallant, before bronze Lydia's tempting last rose of summer, rose of Castile. First lid, cow, cur, doll, a fifth. Lidwell, Cy Dedalus, Bob Cowley, Kernan, and Big Ben Dollard. Tap, a youth, entered a lonely Ormond hall. Next.
Bloom viewed a gallant pictured hero in Lionel Marks's window. Robert Emmet's last words, 7 last words of Meyerbeer, that is. True men like you men, aye, Ben, will lift your glass with us. They lifted. Chink, trunk, tip. An unseeing stripling stood in the door. He saw not bronze, he saw not gold, nor Ben, nor Bob, nor Tom, nor Cy, nor George, nor Thanks, nor Richie, nor Pat. He did not see. See Bloom, Grease a Bloom, viewed last words. Softly, when my country takes her place among must be the burr. Nations of the earth, no one behind, she's past. Then and not till then, tramp cran, cran, cran. Good up, coming, crandle, crank, crank. I'm sure it's the Burgund. Yes, 1, 2, let my epitaph be written. I have. Done.
Oh,
Great.
All right. Excellent. I suppose we have a few minutes here. We want to look at this last one. Yeah.
Well, what is the cran? The cran.
That's the tram, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, it's the tram?
I think that's the tram.
Mm.
The noise of the tram. So he's saying it's a good opportunity to release his book.
Mm.
Yeah, because it says tram, cran. Good up. Okay. There is a bit of blasphemy here, I believe, at the very end, although it's pretty subtle. Done being a short version of "it is accomplished."
Consummatum est.
But it's also maybe Molly's tryst is done.
Hmm.
Her assassination.
Oh, okay.
It's the response to the first word. It's the last word. The first word was begin. Suppose he goes
The first word of Sirens in the very beginning.
Yeah.
after the overture.
Okay. Good. Yeah, and of course in reference to Molly, of course it may round 1 may be done, but
Right.
It goes on.
Bill, since you've rejoined us, do you have any comments about the paragraph that begins with a frowsy whore with a black straw sailor hat?
It's just, I mean, the echoes of the same song of Martha that
Right.
it comes out through. I mean, that even when he's leaving the bar, Mina Kennedy thinks, when first I saw, that was Simon Lionel, because Lionel is the name of the character who sings that aria that Simon sang. When first I saw that form endearing. And then it's pretty common. Then she says, the second I saw, in relation to the blind stripling's tuning fork. Yeah, I don't think there's it's just, I mean, Bloom is remembering the time he spent with her in the lane, and that she knew Molly, so it was a little too close to home, even though he did promise something that they might see each other again. But he's thought better of it. And then to see her in the daylight, not the prettiest thing. Looks a fright in the day, face like dip.
Okay,
but then it's the compassionate Bloom again. Oh well, she has to live like the rest.
Okay. So he does know, and from your vantage point, he does know this woman.
Yes. Yeah, he's had intercourse with her of some sort. At least at least conversational.
At least conversational. Maybe she's done his wash.
Well, yeah, euphemistically.
Okay, okay.
I
So
think I think she put a little starch in it anyway.
Mhm. Okay, so we do have two instances of Bloom with ladies of the street, Bridie Kelly, and now this woman, who I assume is a different person. Okay. I'll just throw this out there. I mean, we have really spent a lot of time on sirens, which I think has been great. And some, you know, I hesitate, but I'll say it anyway, and then you can
Good.
tell me, no, we gotta move on. I think it would be fun to reread the whole thing just straight through and then go on
What the heck?
without stopping to discuss anything.
Right.
Just
Yes.
Get the
just with
music
our
of it.
knowledge and our notes from the, just rumbling around in our brain and our understanding of the musicality of it, just go right through.
Yeah,
Mm,
that'd be
That's a
fun.
great idea.
I'm good with it.
okay.
I've heard a lot of yays and I haven't heard any nays, although some have not said anything. But I will go with the yays in this case.
I think legally silence indicates consent, does it not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
or assent.
from the play A Man for All Seasons,
Exactly.
silence betokens consent.
Exactly.
I was just drawing. I can't remember the name of the case, but it's established UK law that mere silence can never amount to consent.
Ah,
I think you'll find a lot of young ladies rely on that case.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
An old
That's
case
right.
goes back, and the words are on the case. Unless I hear from you by Tuesday, I shall consider the horse sold to you. The man contacted Lord whatever by Tuesday, and he refused to pay for the horse or take the horse, and they ended up in the High Court. And silence, never consent.
Yes. I suppose perhaps like Jim, I got everything I knew about the law from Man for All Seasons. So
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Well, and the court of Henry VIII precedes the other court.
What's the name of the lawyer in Aeolus and Cyclops in Ulysses?
Menton?
Is it
O'Malley?
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he's got to be
O'Malloy.
the world's worst lawyer because everything he says is wrong.
Okay. I'm going to thank everyone.
Can never be proof of anything. No, this is slander and all this sort of stuff. Sorry, Duncan.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. But it's 1 minute after 3. We've had a mighty good time.
Yes.
And let me just a reminder, we will continue. Some of us will be continuing Hamlet tomorrow. And then we will meet next Thursday. And unless I receive multiple emails of strong objection, I will assume that we will be in fine voice to reread as much of it as the Sirens chapter as we can in one's 2-hour session.
Yeah, it's too good. It's too good not to do that.
Okay, well, thank you for that approval there, Sylvia. All right, I'm gonna click the big red button and thank you all.
Bye, everyone. Good to see you all.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.